Be starting here in just a moment. I'm going to get my things ready. Trying to find the right windows here. There we go. All right. I think I'm going to get started. Getting a warning about my bitrate. If you're having a difficult time seeing me, or hearing me, or anything like that, please let me know in chat. I'm not sure if this warning is really something I should be taking seriously, because I get a lot of silly warnings sometimes, so I'm going to leave that alone unless somebody tells me there's a problem. All right, today I am going to be continuing where I left off the last two sessions, adding a feature to my Kivik library. So let me just briefly go over what that is if anybody's new watching this for the first time. So first, what is Kivik? Kivik is an open source library I have written. This is the website kivik.io, Kivik.io. It is an SDK, a client library, if you will, for CouchDB and PouchDB written in Go. It, as far as I know, is the most popular one for Go. It's not saying a lot. It has, I don't know, a few hundred stars. We'll see here. 276 stars. As far as I know, it's the only one that's currently maintained. And I wanted to add a feature to it. I'm getting ready. I'm really close to releasing version 4 of this API, and this is essentially the last or second to last change I want to make before I release that. And so let's talk about the change. If you're not familiar with CouchDB, it's a document store, kind of like or document database, kind of like MongoDB or DynamoDB. It stores basically blobs of JSON, and it can create indexes on them. The feature I want to add is described here. You can see there's a bunch of subpoints. They've all been done except the very last one, which is what we're working on. Basically, it's possible when you get a document that you can get multiple versions of the same document. And my Kivik did not support that until now, and I'm adding that support. So I had to make some changes to the API to allow for the potential for multiple documents when fetching a single document. The API supports that now, but the driver doesn't. So we're adding that support to the driver. Now, we already have a pull request open to do this that we've been working on the last 2 weeks, and today I will continue. Also, as we've been going through this, I've been finding other little tweaks and stuff and merging those often separately. That's why you just see this as WIP, 2 WIP commits, which we'll look at in a moment. So it's not that everything I've been doing the last 2 weeks is still in progress. Some of it has been merged and completed, but that's what I will be working on today. So, since I last did this, I've made some other changes outside of this pull request, so I will need to rebase this, I'm certain. So let's get started and see where we stand here. Let me open up my editor. And let me see where we are. I'll just start with the rebase. Let me open the correct branch. Open Revs 3, I believe was the name. Let me just double check that. Yes, open Revs 3. And let's rebase on top of master and see if there's any conflicts. No conflicts, so that's nice. So let's see where we were going last time. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reset and pull those 2 WIP commits into my working copy so I can see what's going on. There's the first one. There's the second one. So now they're both in my active working copy. Let me just look at git diff, refresh my memory. It's been a week since I was working on this. Give me just a second. I got another warning about video settings. Let me see if I can tweak this here. I can't make the changes while it's streaming. That's okay. I'm going to leave it alone. Unless somebody tells me there's a problem with the streaming quality, I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'll try to tweak it for next week. All right, so here I just added some documentation to this method. I don't know why I didn't merge that before. It feels like it should have been merged. Added a new constant for the new content type that I need to care about for this change. And I added a switch statement to detect that content type. And then I started to build this iterator that I'll be using for that content type. And what else? Looks like that's where we are. Let's see what happens with the tests. I'm sure they're going to fail because I'm sure they were failing last week. Yeah, okay. Not enough arguments. Okay, let's check that out. Not sure why that's happening. Oh, because I was in the middle of writing this, no doubt. Okay, so let's continue. So what this does here, if anybody has questions, I'm going to just dive in, but if you have questions about context, let me know, and I can jump back and explain. But I don't want to spend too much time re-explaining if everybody listening is already familiar or doesn't care about the details. So here we go. Now I need the rev to store in this. So basically, what this function does, or is intended to do, it doesn't do anything yet, is it's supposed to populate this with the necessary data. So I need to make that happen here. Oh, I remember I was making getRev not require a response, but rather an IO reader. And did I finish that already? I'm not sure. So getRev takes a response. Still. Okay, is that why this is complaining? It probably is. Let me find that complaint again. It's probably because I changed that function signature and didn't change it yet. No, it's not why. Okay, let me see what, I think this calls something else that I want. Yeah, extractRev is what I want to actually call. This is what takes an IO reader. So I want to do like this. And it returns 3 things. So let me see what this returns. Part, I'm sure, is a reader. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to call this reader. And what I'm going to do, so what extractRev does is it reads part of the IO reader to extract some data from it, and then it reassembles the IO reader and returns a new one. So that's this, so that I can read it again for JSON parsing and so on. And I think what I'm going to do is, well, I know I need to keep this new reader around. I have an idea what I'm going to do with it, but we'll get there. So I think this should work. Now I can set row, actually first, if error does not equal nil, as always, right? Return error. Otherwise, I can do row.rev equals rev. Why don't I just move all of this assignment stuff down here to one spot? Now I need to reassign this reader as well. And I think the way to do that is just to reassign it to part. So I think I can do part.reader. No, it's called doc. Doc.reader equals reader. I think I can do that. Apparently not. Why not? Because it's IO read closer. I thought it did. Didn't I just see that? This returns a part. Oh, it's unexported. Yeah, okay, so I can't do that. It's called MR. So I can't actually do this. Oh, that's actually different. And anyway, R is the IO reader, and I can't unexport that either. So I just have to be careful to use this reader as I continue here. So let's see. I've assigned the ID, the rev, and the doc. Except the doc is supposed to be an IO reader. So actually, this is what needs to be doc. I think that'll work. Now, there's a problem here, and that is that this reader, let me verify. pretty sure it's an IO read closer, not just a reader, which means I need to. Sorry, my shirt collar is bothering me here. I'm trying to fix it. I think I need to make sure that it gets closed, but I want to verify that. So this part thing, maybe it doesn't have a close function on it. I'm not sure. I think a better way to find out is by looking at the GoDoc here. Let's find the name of that package. Is it mime/multipart, I think? Yes. Types, we're looking for part. It does have a close. Okay, so it is a close reader. So we do need to close that. And I thought we did because I don't think until you close that reader, you can't read the next one in a multi-part message. So it is important to close that. So let me go back to where I was. So what I need to do is I need to store this reader or closer as part of this. So let me do reader close, read closer. I don't care about the read method on here, so let's call it. So just call it a closer. But I do want to specify that it's part of the reader. Call it reader closer. I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's what I'm going to call it. I may change my mind later. But now I need to set d dot reader closer equals reader. So this is so that I have some way to close that reader. But I can't do that in this function. I can't call defer, for example, if I do this. Then it will be closed as soon as I return from this function, which is not what I want because I need the caller of this function to be able to read in that reader, right? So I need to be able to close this somewhere else. And where that needs to happen is either in close here or in the next call to next. So let me add that next. Let's do this. If d dot reader closer does not equal nil, then now, you know what? I don't think I care about any errors from this, so I'll just ignore that. I'll do d dot reader closer dot close without assigning it anywhere. I don't think I care about an error on this. I'll think about it further. But if they're calling close, that means they explicitly want. Well, I suppose I should return that error, right? Yeah, I'll return it and let them decide if they care. Whoever is doing this. So I don't know if an error is even technically possible there, but yeah, I'll let them make that call. Now I need to handle it here as well. So if d dot reader closer does not equal nil, then now here I definitely do care because if it fails to close this reader, that probably means there's a network error of some sort, and that needs to be sent to the caller. So now in this case, I want to set d dot reader closer equals nil. I probably should do that in both cases just to be safe. In case someone calls close twice, I don't want to. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that actually matters. But it feels like a good idea to do that. I could extract this to a function, and I probably will. But I want to get my test to pass first, and then we'll see what's going on from there. I'm sure they're still failing. Wow, they're failing. Oh, I know why that is. It's trying to connect to a local Docker instance that I probably have turned off. Let me just unset that and prevent that from happening. All right, so the tests are not failing the same way. Host connection to host localhost left intact. Well, we'll worry about that. Let's look at the test I have. This is in DB test line 469. All right. So it's returning a document I didn't expect, except that it probably isn't. I just never actually told it what document I wanted to expect. 469. Is that right? Let me move this over here. It's hard to read on the split screen right now. Okay, so this, no, that's right. Is it? So confused. Let me just run this test alone and see what happens. Okay, that test is passing. This one on 469 is failing, but with an unusual error message. Oh, I didn't run the test correctly. That's why it's confusing me. All right, so it is this failure, this test that's failing. OpenRevs is failing, not success, but why does it say 469? Mine, oh, I know why. It's because I'm in the wrong DB test. That's why I'm confused. All right, this makes more sense, I think. Yeah, okay, this is the test that's actually failing, and it is expecting an unexpected result, line 441, and then unexpected doc. I'm curious, I don't remember what those indicate, what the differences are. Unexpected result is right here. And so that's comparing expected. So that is this string is different. Okay. Yeah, okay, I put a to-do note there, so that makes sense. So let's put the actual expected value in here. And now I'm going to look at this, make sure it makes, yeah, it does make sense. So basically this is a version of this. It's the first part of the multi-part mixed response. So that does make sense. That is what I expect. It's still not working though. Why not? I feel like I need to improve this. So I'm just checking if it's exactly equal. Let me improve that. Should give me a textual diff output. And I'll probably have a new line or white space difference or something. Oh, so one is a string and one is a byte slice. I guess I knew that. That's why this had string around it before. Let me put that back in there. See what happens. So the difference is a new line, which I don't really care about, but the easy thing is to put the new line back in there, at least for the moment. So now that, oh no, it's still not. I'm also getting this connection to localhost left intact. I have to figure out what that means. I know I've seen it before. I don't remember the details of how to solve that. Oh, I think it might be related to not closing this properly. So here I need to close this as well. So let me do that. I don't know if that's actually going to solve it. No, that's not working. Is there not a close method on here? I probably need to put the underlying network. Let me look back at the Go doc. This is type reader. I don't think there's a close method on here. No, there's not. There's just next part, next raw part, and read form. So I need to put the HTTP body in here so that can be properly closed on close. So let's do resp body dot closer, and then new reader. Okay. Multi-doc sets ID, and then let's do resp body pulls resp.body. All right, so now this can be closed. I'm just setting it to be an io.closer, even though I know it's a read closer, because I only care about the close method in this case. So it's sort of internal documentation to myself, and it just uses the simplest interface you need is a good approach. Let's see if this solves the test. I'm kind of be surprised if it does, but it would be nice. No, it didn't solve it. Connection number 0 to host localhost left intact. It's possible my test isn't closing things. Let me see. Into the document. I don't think it is, so I need to do that as well. Although I'm still not sure why it's coming out as part of this. Basically, this error, this connection to number 0 on localhost left intact, is being returned apparently by this, by read all on row.doc, which I find strange. Let me verify that by just spewing this out. Print that print line. Oh, it's not there. So where is this coming from? That's very strange to me. It's not part of that string, because if it was, it would have been printed out here. Confused. I'm very confused. We print out the expected value too, just for good measure, even though I'm certain it's not there either. That can't be it. So that string is showing up there, but that doesn't make sense to me. It is part of that first string. It just has a new line after it. That's why I didn't see it there. Okay, it is there. Why? I think it's time for Google. I don't understand why that's coming out. I must be printing out an error somewhere incorrectly, or a warning, but why is it coming out there? I'm so confused. It's not in my multi-part message, is it? No, it is. Oh, that explains it. It's right there. Okay, so I must have done this with curl, if I'm remembering, and I accidentally copied and pasted that error or that warning. All right, so my code isn't nearly as bad as I thought it was, and that new line that I thought I needed, actually, I don't need. All right, so that particular error is now gone, thanks to a little silliness on my part. Now we need to make this part match, and so that's a different test within the same different assertion within the same subtest. That is, I think that's this. And so this testy.diff interface, that's a library I wrote that does essentially the same thing as cmp.diff here. And I actually intend to rewrite that testy library to use cmp.diff, but I'm not interested in refactoring all my tests right now. So I'm going to keep using the other one for now, the testy one. unless I have a reason to change it. But that's what it does, just to be clear what it actually does. All right, so I need to make this actually do something, and so it's checking for doc, which is defined, and it's the 0 value. It's not actually defined. So let's do that. Let's just copy this example, and then we'll modify it to match what we want. ID should be bar, rev should be this thing. There should be no attachments here. No, I know it's still going to fail, but it's going to fail differently. It's going to be at least partly matching. Oh, is it passing now? Oh, that was it. Okay. No, I'm not confident that that solves, it's actually complete, but at least the test is passing. Let me look at the driver.row definition again, see if there's anything else here that's relevant. Basically, this represents a generic row or result from a query, and not all fields are relevant for all queries. So I need to make sure that all the fields that are relevant for this query are set. ID is relevant. That's the document ID. Revision is relevant. That's the one we extracted there. Key is not relevant. Value is not relevant. Document is relevant and is being set. And attachments is not relevant right now. It may be relevant in the future. And then error. Do I care about error? No, I don't think I do. Error represents the error for any row not fetched, usually just not found. So this is only, I don't think it's relevant in our case, but we'll find out later. I don't think it's possible to get a not found. So if I request a document with 3 revisions, I think it will just return the ones that are found. I don't think it returns a not found error for the one that isn't found, for example. So I think it might be done. At least with the easy implementation. Let me create a commit here. This documentation commit should have been done with a previous commit I did a few weeks ago that I already merged, where I made some changes to this, but I didn't. I'll just include it here. So that implements the reader, or the iterator. All right, so I have a single test that's passing. Let's create a commit here. All right. Now, I think the next bit is to add some more complicated tests. See if I can trip it up somehow. So this is a test that just returned a single document, right? Let's do one that returns multiple documents. So let's do, or multiple versions of the document anyway. And maybe with errors and so on and so forth. So let's, let me see if that Docker container is running. It is not. That's not the right Docker container. That's for something else. That's my Hugo installation. Let me delete that. Docker, I want to start CouchDB. I need to find the instructions for that. I have them here somewhere. Start Docker. This starts a whole bunch of Dockers. I don't want that many. I just want to start one. So let's do this. We'll start Docker with CouchDB 3.3. Let me export these environment variables to set the default user and password. And then set this. All right. And then I need to call this complete couch script, which does a some final configuration on the server. All right. Now I can run some curl commands against this. Yeah, it's running now. Let's do admin c123 at. Now I'm going to do a put to create a database called foo. And then I want to create a document, call it bar. I don't really care what data's in it, but then I need to update it. And when you want to update an existing document, you have to use existing revision. On my test, I had this key foo 123, so let's do that again. All right. Now let's get that document. Hi, Mihai. It's good to see you again. Oops. I can't even spell localhost. What's wrong with me? All right. Now I need to pass in the open revs. I think it was equals all. Yeah, so that's the response that I got and we just tested. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how to easily make this return multiple values because by default, CouchDB removes the old values unless you're doing replications. And that's fairly involved to set up quickly. Let me see if I can find an example from the CouchDB docs that we can use. All right, here's an example. Let's make a test out of this. So I'm gonna copy this test and delete parts of it. Open revs with multiple docs. Let's call it revs. So it's actually the same document, different revs of the same document. And then the body here is what I want to copy from this. It's a long body, but it serves a purpose. And the indentation's all off, so let's fix that. Now I need to change this header to match this so it has the right boundary value. All right, let's, it says test failed. I'm not surprised. It's also complaining. My linter is also complaining that I have this same string used 3 times. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna fix that by deleting that test. I don't need to text that same thing in every instance of my test. So this new one, I don't need to check that here. You know, I don't need to retest the same conditions in every of these tests. That doesn't add any value, and it just makes my tests harder to change. If I ever change that value, I have to change it more places, and so on. All right, so the tests have failed. Yeah, not surprised here. These are short revisions. They're not. This isn't a real CouchDB output, but that's okay. I mean, yeah, doesn't matter at all. But that's good. I mean, I expected this to be different. So now the thing is that this is only testing the first revision. I'm certain of that. But let's go ahead and get it passing. Actually, I should put that here. Run it. I'm going to run it on this window where it's a little bit easier to see the output. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. All right. Unexpected result. Yeah. No, I'm getting the same failures as before. This is all I care about right now, though. Unexpected result. So let's update that. Now this is annoying because what this is doing a literal byte for byte comparison. Maybe that's okay. It's kind of annoying though. I don't know. I'm gonna run with it for now. It seems a little bit annoying. I might change my mind. Makes for a fragile test, but too many tabs. If those are even tabs, I can't tell. It looks like they are tabs. Okay. And then yeah, this is an annoying way to write tests. What I care about a lot more than this. So I have to. I'm actually wondering why I even do this assertion. Why do I read in that result? Okay, I think I know why. Yeah, here I set the doc portion of the row object to nil, which means that I'm not validating that aspect of it. But I think there's a better way to do this. So this testy library I mentioned has a nice little JSON diff thing that I think makes a lot more sense to use here. So let me use that. If d : equals testy dot diff, I think it's as JSON, then I can pass this in. Actually, let me just try this string. I don't know if that works or not, but let me just try this string. I don't remember if it takes a string as an argument or if it requires a byte slice or what, but we'll see here. See how that works. Now it should actually fail with, okay, it's trying to do a literal string comparison, so I think it needs a byte slice. I could look at the Go doc, but I'm not being wise right now. Okay, yeah, so that works. Now one nice thing is I can actually pass in an IO reader instead of this. I'm pretty sure of that. And it'll do the reading for me, so I can simplify this in a sense. Let me make this expected value valid. That should make it valid at least. It's not going to match, but it's valid. Yeah, okay. So now that's simpler. And all the other tests are still passing because, of course, if the strings are identically equal, then they produce identical JSON as well. So, but that means I don't need to worry so much about preserving exact white space and so on in this. So I, for example, can put this on a single line instead of breaking it up as it is in the example. Okay. And then start one. I don't actually know what that means. I also don't care right now. Trying to get the test to pass. Oh, and I shouldn't have an underscore there. Oh, the start :1 goes here. Not here. And then we have description. All right, we're getting closer. Ingredients is an array, not an object. And then we have name spaghetti with meatballs. All right, let's put our ingredient slice here. Spaghetti, tomato sauce, and meatballs. All right, so that is working. However, I have not executed all the code, obviously. I've yet to call close on this thing, and I have not validated that it works in multiple documents. I think I need to create a new test for that. Let me go ahead and commit this. It's nice that it wasn't any code changes. I just added a single test. You did hear about meatballs, yes. All right, so I have some tests that test the other result set generators naturally. I think I'm going to go look at one of those and copy some of that to work with this. Good question. Since I'm in the Netherlands, how do I like bitterballen? If you're not familiar with bitterballen, if you've never been to the Netherlands or otherwise haven't heard, they're basically little croquettes. Is that the right word? Like it's kind of like thick meat gravy in a ball and deep fried with a breading around it. How do I like them though? That's the question. They're okay. I don't hate them. I order them from time to time, but it's not one of the things I'm going to truly miss whenever I don't live here anymore. There are many things I will miss more than the bitterballen. All right, so let's see. I think I have test query maybe. Yeah. This isn't doing a complete test. I'm not sure why. Let me find where query is defined and see if it's called from other. See, maybe they were testing this, I'll bet. Yeah. So query and a few other methods call a submethod that does all the work, and that's what's being tested. So anyway, this is the test I want to copy. So let me see what the body of the test looks like. These are all the test cases at the top, and now here's the actual test. The bitterballen used to be a treat of choice during the Friday happy hour. Yeah, I mean, whenever anytime you go to some sort of happy hour type thing in the Netherlands, you're going to get bitterballen and a few other deep fried things. I'm not really sure why they love their deep fried food so much, but that's kind of what it is. Their cheese is good though, and you can get some cheese with mustard or with some apple syrup. That stuff is good. I like that a lot. All right, so here's the body of the test, and yeah, here it iterates over. So actually, maybe I just want to copy that logic, this iteration, into the get test. The thing is, most of the tests only iterate over a single thing, but that's okay, right? I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. So maybe I'll try to do that. We come down here to the core thingy, and it doesn't make this. This is already a long test. So you can see this test starts at line 530 and runs to line 577. It's almost 50 lines long. A big part of that is extracting attachments, which could be put into a separate function. Maybe I'll do that. Why don't I do that to start with and see what it looks like? We could take a row, which is a type result set. I think. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Oh, it's a type driver rows. Oops. Let's call it rows then, not just row, right? And it should return slice of pointer to attachment. And then I can move all of this. So I'm going to say attachments equals doc attachments rows. Now wait a minute, what's this row thing? Did something wrong. It's referencing this variable called row. Where did that come from? Oh, it came from here. So this, yeah, okay. So it's not rows, it's actually row, which is this. Good enough. Now I can try moving this in there again. Return, return attachments. Now it needs a t value. T testing.t, which means I need to call t.helper first. And I need to pass that value in right here. Yeah, I need to pass it a row, not rows. Why doesn't it like that? Cannot use row. Oh, it's a pointer too. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I can fix that. All right. So that should be functionally equivalent to before on our test, just to be certain. Something failed. What? Did I just implement that bug? Okay, I'm going to reset what I did here. I can always redo it. I have a feeling that was already there, though. Yeah, okay, so something I did earlier broke this. 542. Unexpected, so my result is invalid in some way. For status okay. It's a test I wasn't even trying to change. But somehow this change broke things. Yeah, that's not valid, Jason. No wonder it broke. So the expected value is now this. All right, now it's failing still somewhere. Invalid character after top level value. Oh, I missed a opening curly brace. All right, fixed it. Let me add that to the previous commit. All right, let's go back now and do that extraction, that attachment thing that I was trying to do. Func row attachments, t testing.t, row driver.row, pointer to attachment. All right, we should be good here. Let's run the tests. All right, going good here. So now my what was a 50-line test is line 30. It's 24 lines, so it's about half is annoying. And I would need to essentially put all of this in a for loop if I want to reuse this test for my iteration. The annoying thing about that is that then all of these test cases need to be written to work for multiple values, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to leave this row attachments thing here, but I am going to create a new high level test for get with OpenRevs. See, this is just way too long. Line 89 is like 600 lines of test cases that I don't want to modify all of those to support the general case. So I'll just do like this. Let's add some closing parentheses. Test get with OpenRevs. And then I will copy this down here. For now, I'm going to get rid of this attachments thing because I don't support that in the OpenRevs case. When I add it, I'll add that testing capability again. But that makes it a little bit simpler for now. And then let's copy that. Let's copy both OpenRevs examples here down to the new case. And I'll probably delete at least the second one, the multi-document one. Maybe I'll delete both from the above case. But for now, I'm just going to copy them down here, so we'll have duplicate versions. Now, the test should be passing because I just duplicated those tests. 2 of the tests now run twice, in effect. Yeah, that's working. But now I can do this iteration thing. And before I do that, let me think about how I want to restructure this. So attachments can go away from that. In theory, status should stick around. That's an error status. I don't have any tests yet for error statuses with OpenRevs, but I will. So I'm going to leave that there. So basically, I don't want to validate a single doc. I want to validate multiple docs and multiple expected values. So I could just do this. And maybe that's good enough. Let's try it. I don't know if I like it, but... So for the first case, there's only one example. So it makes it fairly straightforward. I just have to wrap it like that. The second one is going to start failing here in a second, though. I'm going to wrap it the same way I did on the first one, but I expect that we're going to have a failure now. Because it should, well, it's not actually yet. It's going to have a failure. It's going to have a compile time failure, obviously, now that I think about it, because I'm trying to compare a byte slice to a not byte slice. So what I need to do here is do var I int for index, and then for let's do an infinite for loop for this, and then if error equals io.eof, then return. Otherwise, it's an error. And then we want to do equals 0 I plus plus. Will that work? I don't know if it'll work. I want to just continually, yeah, I think that works now. And then I can put I here, and I can do the same down here. I think that'll work. So we have this duplicated again. All right, let me delete that from this test. I'm going to comment it out for now. No, let me think. Oh, I'm going to delete it, and I'll just make sure that what my concern was, I didn't want to delete it here and then delete the other instance of this test out there in the other example, and then forget that I'm no longer testing for that. But I'm just going to leave the OpenRevs one in the above example. In fact, I'm going to solve that right now by deleting this multi-part OpenRevs thing from here, and just consider the first test get stuff complete. All right, let's run the tests. All right, that's interesting. Unable to determine document revision, invalid character. Okay, that's not what I expected at all. But that's what TDD does. It helps you find these corner cases. So why is it doing that? Let's find the thing here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and commit this. I may amend this commit, but add test. Let's do add failing test for multi-rev results. All right. Let me close this again. It's 640, so it's happening right here. All right, time to debug. I don't know what's going on here. What we called next, which is happening down here somewhere. And then we try to call, well, no, it's actually right here that it's happening. Okay, I don't know, this is weird. Nothing else has happened. So next, somehow this is failing. Oh, here's where it's failing, obviously. Extract route, that's the error message. Unable to determine document revision, but why is that failing is the question. Let me look at the input that we're sending it. So it's reading a negative sign where it expects a numeric literal. I think I need to have this just dump out what it sees. Let me do that. Yeah, I can just easily dump out the result of this buffer. Defer buff, fmt.s print len buff.string. It's actually not going to work, I don't think. Maybe it will. Let me try it. Yeah, I don't think it works. It executes that immediately, I think. There we go. All right, so here's what we're getting. So this is, yeah, this is what it's trying to read, which obviously is not a JSON document. The question is, why is it trying to read that? Because I thought that this next part should take care of that. Let me look at the docs. Maybe I'm not using it correctly. That seems right. I'm using this one other place. Let me see how it's being done up here. New reader. Next part. But I'm not sure what's going on. Let me run just the tests I care about right now to clean up this output a little bit. So we get, this first buffer instance is what we expect, right? That is the document, and but then we get this. I'm not sure why that's happening. Do I need to explicit? No, I don't know. Let me look at the Go doc again. If I can find the right tab. I don't care about that right now. Am I not setting the boundary correctly? That could be happening. And so it's just reading the whole thing. No, it should be fine, I think. I'll just be certain. Let's see what boundary we're getting. That's the boundary. Is that the correct one? Okay, this is interesting. We have multiple boundaries here. Oh, I see what's going on. I think. Yeah, okay. So we have a multi-part related inside of multi-part mixed. That's what's happening. I'm glad I have this test case. So this one includes some attachment data. That's what's going on here. Well, that's a good test case. So basically, I need to in this case here, where I check for multi-part related, I need to extract that into a function that can be called potentially on each part of the multi-part mixed case. Wow. Okay, I knew this might happen. I didn't expect it to bite me so quickly. I have to think about this then. I'm going to have to extract this into some other code. So basically, and actually this also, yeah. Let me think about this. So there, I have three options, but they don't happen at the same level. At the top level, I either have multi-part mixed or a single document. If I have multi-part mixed, then I have multiple single documents, and then at the single document level, I either have JSON or multi-part related. So I kind of need to take these two things into a separate function. All right, let's get started. Let me see if I want to do that in this same pull request, or if I want to separate this somehow. What do I have in my open working copy here? That's just some debugging. Let me get rid of that. All right, so let me think if I want to refactor this. I think I want to refactor this before. Well, I don't know. No, I'm not going to do that before because I'll have merge conflicts, and I hate giving myself merge conflicts. So I need to extract these two cases to a separate function. So, and what do these both do? They both return a single document. And in this case, well, let me start there. I think I need to change that as well, but let me start there. What am I going to call this? Just a terrible name. It's too generic, but I'll figure it out later. Process doc. And this is going to return a star document. I don't know what the inputs are yet, but we'll figure that out. First we have a content type. I think I'll just pass in the content type header and let this function do that parsing for me. Well, do I want to do that? The thing is, I need the content type, and I might need the boundary, which is done here. It's part of the params, the content type. So maybe passing in the header makes sense. The problem is I would then potentially parse the header twice, because I need to parse it here to determine whether or not it's JSON related or mixed. Anyway, can always refactor later. I'm just going to pass in the header for now. CT header string. What else do I need? I need to give it the response. Okay, that's easy. Or do I need the response? Is that right? Or do I need a... Yeah. I'll probably change that later as well, but I'll start with that. That might be all I need. Let's get started with this and see what happens. All right, so first thing I need to do is parse that header, which is semi-redundant for the moment, but whatever. And it could return an error, of course. All right, and then do this. switch CT. Doc ID, where does that come from? I think that was an input. Yeah, so that needs to be an input argument as well. Let's put that first here, doc ID. Okay, and then the other option is this one. Copy this whole thing. And those are the only two supported in this function. So anything else, I'm going to panic for now. All right. Now, this can be simplified. Something like this. Return process doc ID, content type header. Oops. And the response. What's this complaining about? Oh, nothing anymore. Okay. So in those two cases, we jump to this other function and call that thingy. What's it complaining about here? Unused parameter CT header. Oh, because that's great. I don't need to pass that separately because I'm passing the response, and the response is already available there. So that's a little bit simpler. Still includes duplicate parsing, but I'll worry about that later. All right, let's run our tests and see if they're still doing the same as before. So actually, this would be a good reason to do this as a separate commit or separate pull request so that I can validate that it doesn't break anything. So I guess I'll make that change now. Let me go ahead and commit this here, and I'm going to cherry pick it somewhere else. As diff. All right, I'm going to call this branch. Doc processing, whatever. Let's see how cleanly this thing cherry picks. No conflicts. Let's see if the tests work. Nope. All right. Oh, because I have this. Yeah, okay. Didn't complain of conflicts, but it actually has some because, yeah. This multi-part mixed nonsense shouldn't exist yet. So basically, this should just look like. Let me move that down here. Instead of that panic, I'll put that error handling there. All right, and then I can get rid of that. So here's what the diff looks like after cherry picking. And now it's much simpler, in fact. Well, it's not quite what I wanted to see. This is what I wanted to see. Yeah. So now it's a super simple diff. I literally just extracted that function out, and it's just a few lines. Everything else is literally identical. So that makes it a nice, clean commit. The tests are passing. Let me give it a useful commit message. This is a safe thing to merge, so let's go ahead and do that. If any of you follow me on LinkedIn, you may have seen that I've been posting about small commits lately. And this is a good example. This is a small change, very small change, 4 lines, that is eminently safe to merge. It's easy to review, and it will make and helps to reduce the potential for conflicts in the future. Now, this is a project that only I'm working on, and actually, this will probably add a small conflict on the branch I was just on. But if this were a large project that other people were working on, this would be a perfect thing to merge as quickly as possible, because it reduces the possibility for conflicts from other people in the future. It also is a great way to get feedback quickly. Not that I per se need feedback on this small change. I don't expect this to affect customers, and in fact, if it does, it's a problem. But that's one of the big benefits of continuous integration as well, is getting faster feedback on your changes. So anyway, we'll let these tests run, and then I can merge that. Meanwhile, I'm going to go back to my OpenRevs branch and rebase it on top of that one. And I do expect some conflicts here. Although it didn't trigger conflicts, I'm sure that there are some. Yeah, now we have 2 copies of process doc. Which one do I want? I don't yeah, see what it did there? So basically I want to delete that. I think that's probably correct. Now I have this panic down here that I don't actually want. Let's put that here. All right. Now, something is going to have to change. Let me, before I talk about that, let me see if this looks right. So the problem is that this rebase that appears to have happened successfully really didn't. And here's where the breakage happened. Here's where I needed to make the change, not on the top level there. So I think this will solve it now, and then I want to move that. Let me copy this. Wait. I'm confused. Okay, yeah. So process doc is happening in the wrong place. Wait, I'm so confused here. What am I doing wrong? Use lazy git here to look at these commits. So there, that's fine. So basically, when I replayed my OpenRevs branch on top of the new change, it just added this multi-part mixed case into the parse docs function, which is not correct. That's what I'm trying to fix here. So rather, this should be, I'll just duplicate this code here, up to here. And I don't care about, well, I might care about that. Let me see. And then I want to do switch CT, case, type JSON, or what was the other one? In either of these cases, I just call the process doc thing and return that. In the case of part mixed, I do this directly. And in the default case, I guess I'll just duplicate this error message. In theory, there might be a useful distinction between the server returning an invalid content type as the HTTP response type versus a multi-part related subtype or whatever component, but those would both be server bugs and not something that I really need to optimize for, so I'm not going to worry about that. Just copy this here. So now this is, I think, what I want. Yeah, so now the multi-part mixed processing does not happen in process doc. Now this asdiff thing is broken. I don't need it anymore though. All right, let's see if our thing is ready to merge. No, it's still running. But now, in principle, it's easier for me to call process doc on each of these parts. Hi, Paku. Welcome. Now, that's going to mean changing the function signature a little bit because I don't have an HTTP response to send to, well, in the case of multi-part, but that's okay. I mean, that's what refactoring is for. So I probably need to put that content header back in here. Or probably the better thing to do, probably what I'll do here is pass in the main content type and the boundary. Even though that means passing more arguments, because it means doing less duplicate processing. So let me make that change. In fact, I should make that change here on this other pull request. So let me do that. I'm making my own life a little bit harder, but let me do that here. So rather than passing in, so I'm going to pass in the content type and boundary as strings. And that's done there. Okay, so what that means is I'm not parsing the content type here. I'm instead parsing it here. And then I pass in CT and params boundary. I think that's all I need to change here. And then this, we'll just use the boundary variable. And CT is already good. Okay, let me make that change. Now, one other change I can make either here or later is to not pass in the response, but to just pass in an IO reader. That will make it more general purpose. And I think that will be perfectly fine to do here. Yeah, so I can just change this to reader, body, call it body. And I change this to rest.body. Oh, there's a problem here. And that is that this particular function wants a full response because it tries to read a header. This is the annoying part of coding, right? Like, so now I have the option to either pass in that additional header, or instead of boundary, I could pass in all the headers. I think the thing to do is to pass in a revision as an additional argument. That's so annoying. So here's the thing. I can only, well, maybe I just stop using getRev. That's another option. I can only use this getRev when the HTTP response is of type JSON. Because when it's a multi-part related and an individual part is JSON, it won't have that header to read here. So then I have to read into the document to parse that out with the extract rev method that is called. Oh, okay. I could do it. I have the same problem here though. The same problem here. And I had this comment that I added a couple weeks ago. I'm unsure whether it's ever possible to get the multi-part related response with no ETag. If this is possible, this needs to be improved. So I need to determine if this is possible because I need to do exactly that now, that these multi-part related can be part of a, or multi-part mix can be part of a multi-part related. All right. Okay, I'm going to just push this up. Or should I just merge that as it is? I'm just going to merge this as it is because it's already ready. And I'm going to go back to my other working copy. Well, first I'm going to update master. Revs 3, let's rebase this on master. Now let's have a look at this and see. So here we have multi-part mixed, and in that we have multi-part related, and within that we can read JSON. So basically I have to be able to extract the rev from there. Okay. So I'm going to have to find a way to not rely on the ETag header in both cases here, which means I have to fix this one, but that's okay, I'll get there. I think what I'll do, let me make the change again here in this branch, but I think what I'll do is pass in the content type and the ETag header, the latter of which may be blank. Content type, let's call it CT header, ETag, and we're going to change this to, well, I'll do that first. Then I needed a boundary also, right? It's a lot of arguments, but I think they're all justified. So this gets moved up to here. Oops, it's already there, so good. It's just deduplicated now. So we're by CT, params, boundary, and resp.header.get ETag. And for now, resp. That will be changed to some resp.body in a moment. Let's just see, we'll call it CT. Okay. I think that's good. Oh, this needs to be called boundary. And then this becomes oh, this is trimming the ETag, which I suppose I can do myself, right? What else does this do? Response is nil, returns nothing. Okay. If the ETag is not set, oh, that's weird. What is that? What's that doing? Oh, it's checking for different spellings. That's what that's doing. Okay, fair enough. And then if still nothing, return false. Otherwise, we trim. So I just need to do this trim thing. Actually, you know what? I don't need to do that. I can have that done by the caller here. So the chttp ETag thing, I'll just put that up here. Blah. I have to do it separately. There we go. So this becomes rev equals etag. Actually, why don't we just call that etag rev? And then here we have if rev equals blah, then we do the extract dealio, which is down here. Bar error or see if this will work. Resp.body. Apparently not. Declared and not used. Oh. If error does not equal nil, return nil error. This needs to be CHTTP. I think that'll work. This will be refactored because I'm going to change this from RESP soon, but for now it's okay. And then I can just do this. I think it should be happy. Problem is we're going to still have a test failure, but hopefully it's no more than the one we had a moment ago. Yeah, it's the exact same failure as before. So I think we're good here. Let me commit this refactoring. Now the thing is the boundary. I didn't quite finish that. I need to make an update here. So still, no, I guess I did that already. I thought I wasn't using that variable yet, but it looks like I am. Oh no, I'm not. Wait, yeah, I'm just shadowing it. That's annoying. But do I care? Probably not really. Yeah, probably don't care. All right, so I think that's okay now. Now I want to refactor this to no longer take a response and take an IO reader instead. All right, so now this needs to be changed to resp.body. I'm going to have to change a few other things as well. Oh, I'm trying to take a pointer to an IO reader. That's silly. All right. Now this is going to change this from resp to body. So now this is just reading body. And I think I can do this. Maybe not. Oh, it wants to read closer. I don't know if I actually care about that. I don't think I do. So I think I do io.nop closer. I could make it a read closer, but the thing is nothing in here closes that body, so I don't think that matters. And then this becomes, well, does document close that? It might. Apparently it does. Okay, so I do care about that. All right, so let's make this a read closer. And this just becomes body. Undefined rest. Yeah, that's okay. Body and body. Okay, I think we're okay now. Let's run the test again. Golden. Right, so now I think we can have this iterator called process doc when necessary here in next. So basically we need to check the content type of each part. How do we do that? How do we do that? I don't have any idea. It's got to be a way. All right, so here's our part. Oh, there it is. It's part of the. It's a struct. It's not a. It's a struct field, not a method that I was looking for. So I'm going to rename this to part, since we're treating it as a part now, and we're doing other things with it. And then we have MIME header, which I think is the same struct type as a HTTP header. So we need ct comma params comma error equals mime dot parse media type part dot header dot get content type. If error does not equal nil, then return error. All right, now I think we still want to do this extract revs thing. And then we have the rev that we can pass into our parse document or parse doc function here. And then we won't extract it again. And it will be available in this case where rev is needed down here somewhere. We need boundary, we need content type. Okay. Now the odd thing is this returns a document, which I don't think we want. We'll need to change that too, probably. I think. But let's see. I'm gonna do a hacky version to start with, and then we'll change from there. So let's do doc there equals parse, no, process doc, and then it takes a doc ID, which, do we have that? Oh yes, we do. It's right here. It's part of d.id. And we pass in a content type, which we just parsed. We pass in params boundary, and we pass in rev, and we pass in reader. All right. If error does not equal nil, return nil error. And now we can. Now this doc is of this type, which has all the fields we need to populate the other thing. So I guess I could do doc.rev, doc.id, and I can even do row.attachments equals doc.attachments. Why is this? Oh, I can just do return error here. I think that'll work. Something's wrong here. It's the same warning as before. Tests are still failing. All right, so that's still failing for some reason. So this didn't magically solve it. I guess I'm not surprised, but I'm not sure why. Let's put some debugging back in again. We were looking, where was that? It was an extract rev. That's the, yeah. Oops, what did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't type run out completely. I'm still getting this. Okay, why? So okay, I'm going to remove that. No, I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to want to see it in a minute. What I'm curious about is if this is being done correctly. Let me print out the content type. Application JSON, okay. It should be happening up there, I think, right? We should have that happening earlier too. Okay, so I do see why that's happening first. We call this, okay. And then our buffer is this whole thing. That's interesting. It's that whole thing. Let me look at that input again. There is a possibility that the input is wrong, that the documentation wasn't very rigorous and just pasted some invalid stuff, but I don't think that's what's happening. The boundary is this, yes. So as soon as we find that here, it's going to here. What? Let me find the right tab. So for some reason, it's only calling process doc once. Oh, I know why. It can only do the extract rev on JSON. So this extract rev shouldn't be happening here. Yeah, okay. This can't happen here. That's what's happening. So this rev needs to be 0 or a blank string. And this reader is just part. Now what that means is that I need to re-add that to the hi Dennis. I need to re-add that logic to the parse doc method or function, but I'll do that in a moment. Let me see if this changes the error. It definitely changes the error. Index out of range. Okay. It's happening on line 642. I have an idea what's going on here. Oh yeah, I know exactly what's going on. I didn't update this with multiple responses yet. Let me just add a blank string there and a nil value there. It's still going to not work, but at least it won't be crashing with the same thing. Yeah, that's much more like it. Yeah, interesting. That is not an easy diff to read. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Wow. What is that nonsense? Sticky error reader. Okay. Anyway, not at all. All right, let's just fill this in and see where we go. So this should be ID is not, well, yeah, ID is bar, okay. But the, so ID is going to be the same. Rev is going to be different. I don't know how many copies we have of this document. Here's the second one. Rev is this thingy. So the last one, is it just 2? Looks like just 2. I think this is a bunch of attachment stuff, which is interesting. I wasn't sure if that would work. It looks like it might be working. I'm not sure yet though. Oh yeah, so this contains an attachment that is a file called recipe.txt. Very fascinating, if that's working. It's kind of cool. But I'm still not sure what this diff is really. Well, I have it. I think I know what it's talking about. It's talking about. So you might remember that I extracted this attachment thing. That's what it's. That's what it's comparing it to now, or complaining about. What I'm going to do for now is just zero out the attachments thing until I have the rest of the test working. Then I'll add it back in. Yeah, now the diff is a lot smaller. Unexpected doc. Expected this, and I got no rev. So I'm not extracting the rev. That's not surprising. In fact, I knew that would be the case. Now the document here is not what I expected because I haven't told it what to expect yet. So this isn't really a very useful test, to be honest. I'm not sure if I want to add it in there, but I don't feel like refactoring that aspect either. So basically this is asking, it wants to know what to compare to. Let me copy that in there and delete a bunch of pluses. It should work. It's super ugly, but let's see if it works. Yeah, so that's working. All right. Make it work, make it right, and then make it fast. So I'm making it work right now. I'll go back and make it right later in part of the refactor stage. So for now, what I need to do is that part about extract rev, I need to add that into the multi-part mixed section right here. So the reader. So here. Content. Why is I'm not sure why we're reading in the whole content here, but I'll not worry about that just yet. Body. So I don't see any check happening here to validate that this is multi-part of type application JSON. It looks like it's assuming that that is the case because it's the first. Like it's just assuming that positionally the first one is JSON, and after that it's something else. And that's probably true. I'm not going to challenge that assumption right now because I'm not sure what I would do if it was wrong. I guess return an error. But what I will do is I'm going to add that extract capability right here. So I need body rev error equals chcp.extract rev body. Doesn't like that. Cannot use spa of a read closer. Let's do it down here instead. Content. This should make it happy or not. Cannot use read closer as byte value. Oh, it wants a yeah. Okay. Well, I can do it. I can do it this way. This can definitely be optimized, as you can see from this to-do. We're reading the entire part off the network, which probably isn't necessary. We're reading it into memory, and then we parse it a couple times. But as long as we're doing that, this shortcut should work. We can just discard the reassembled reader. All right, let's see if that makes a test pass now. Nope. What's wrong here? Oh, I didn't validate it. If error is not equal nil, return error. Rev key not found in response body. Is that true? That's interesting. There's a rev right there. Why does it think it's not found in response body? I think that's what it's reading. Turn this into a panic. Just to debug. Let's take a look at the stack trace. 504. Yep. Okay. 256. Yeah, it's that instance. It's doing it. Okay. All right. So what's going on here? It's right there. Maybe the this read rev doesn't wait long enough. Let me see what it does here. Okay, I'm going to make this thing print out each token as it reads it. Attachment recipe. Rev pause. So it stopped reading here. That's interesting. Why? I think I know why, actually. Okay, and I do know why, because that I'm reading. This is the wrong check. Yeah, this reports whether there's another element in the current array. So I wasn't counting on the fact that the first part, or that there might be an array or an object before I get to rev. But I think the solution is simple. Rather than just looping here, I need to read in. Yeah, I need to read in the next. Yeah, I know what I know what I'm thinking. I'm not sure how to explain it. If the token is equal to the string underscore rev, meaning that we're reading this, then it decodes the next token, and we know that the next token is the revision we want, and so it returns that right here, right? In any other case, we just read the next token looking for rev. So there's actually two bugs here. That's cute. The first bug is the one we just discovered, that if there's an object or an array before the first rev, then we stop parsing when we get to the end of that object. The second bug is that we could have JSON that looks like this. And in this case, it would think the revision is foo, because it indiscriminately just takes the next token after it finds the rev token. So both of those are bugs. The solution, I think, is to... So we already know that we're reading an object by looking at the first limiter. So there's no risk of us reading arrays. So if the token is rev on the first iteration through the loop, then we're correct. It's a key. And the second token, the value, is what we want. In all other cases, we should treat the token as a key and read in the next key, or the next value, and discard it. Now, what's the best way to do that? I've done this before. I'm trying to remember. I think I can just use... I think I know what I need to do. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to just discard it without copying it to memory first. I'll worry about that optimization later. Var... Well, I can create a var val JSON.raw message. JSON.raw message is just a byte slice that has JSON encoding and decoding methods on it. So it doesn't do any extra parsing, which is why I want it here. But I do want to just discard the thing, but I'll worry about that for later. I think this will successfully just decode the next valid JSON thing, whether it's a string, a number, whatever. So it'll just consume the next valid JSON string, which should be the value, whatever that value is, and whatever type it is. Let's see how the tests work now. Did not work yet. Okay. Let's add some debugging here. This will print out the value. Let me print out the key as well. So here we got key underscore attachments. Why didn't this happen? Oh, I know why it didn't happen, because there's no error, duh. All right, so in the case of attachments, the value was this thing, as expected. So that did successfully slurp in that entire value. In the case of key, the value is spaghetti with meatballs. Did it stop then? What happened? So they got rev. So the next one is rev, but it didn't return it properly, or what happened? Let me add some debug here. Delete this other stuff since I've validated it already. I'm guessing it is returning it now, but I'm just not handling it correctly. Yeah, it is returning it. Okay, so that bug has been fixed, but something else is happening. Let me go ahead and commit this. Don't want that part. Yes, yes, no, no, no. All right, so that's fixed. Let's see what's going on next. I have a question from Dennis. Seems like a few of these feature elements are hard to add. Would you consider some refactoring pairings to clean things up? If you have suggestions for refactorings, I'm all ears. I've been doing quite a bit of refactoring as I go along. But yeah, having other eyes on it is part of the reason I'm doing this. So if you have some suggestions, by all means. All right, I need to end soon. I have 3 minutes. Let's see if I can find the failure here. The time's just about over, and I have another call I need to go to anyway. But let's see what's going on here. Still getting rev key not found in response body. Am I calling that function correctly? I'm not seeing an obvious failure yet. I probably need to stop here. Pick this up again next week. It's not jumping out at me where the problem is happening. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. I'm gonna end now. Come back next week, same time, same place, and I will pick this up. Hopefully by then I will have had some shower thoughts or something that will have broken through this impasse. If not, then of course we'll figure it out live. So thanks for joining, everybody. Hope to see you all next week. Until then.